Well, welcome to the show.
This is our view from the bench.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan, taper winder for the Film Club.
And I'm Corey, Bulldog mascot handler for Washington Elementary. And happy Thursday, man.
Happy Thursday, man. Made it through the week. How was yours?
So far, so good. I've actually had a really easy week so far. It's kind of weird. I'm not used to this, but I had a couple days off and a work party yesterday, so I didn't really work yesterday. And I actually worked today, I think, like a full real day for the first time all week. So it's been
Oh,
nice.
man. Poor thing.
I
Yeah,
know,
jeez. Did you make it okay?
I survived. It was a long day today, though. We are super busy right now with everybody buying stuff and Ducks, jerseys for the holidays and Christmas. So it's a little crazy, but all good, man. Survived. So how about you?
That's good, dude. How was your real quick before we get to me? It was like on a boat or something, right? Like some
Yeah, so
trip like that for your
we've done
thing?
it. I think 3 or 4 years now. We go to Newport Harbor and we get on a boat and they just kind of go through the harbor and then they feed us. We do a raffle of like some prizes at the top of the boat on our way back, and then we get back at 2 o'clock and it's only like 2.5 hours, and most of the people I guess go to some of the bars down the street afterwards, but I had things to do and cookies to make for Christmas, so I just came home.
Oh, yes. Which is also something that will be coming soon, most likely, to everybody here. Figure out
Actually,
ways to get it for you if you want.
funny you say that. I think I'm going to add an ad on the screen here on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube on this episode, there should be an ad at some point in time with the Instagram name for the cookies, which they are 3Cs or Corey's Christmas cookies that I make every year. The Instagram is 3CS_cookies if you want to check it out. And you can message me on there for pricing and everything. I do also have a gluten-free version. So if anybody's
Ooh.
worried about that.
I should buy that for my mom. She can't have gluten.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, I have a few
Nice.
gluten-free bags already ready to go. So, but yeah.
All right, cool.
Definitely going to be.
We'll have to order some. They're so good, man. They're so good. Honestly, they really are. It's simple, but it's good. I'm not even gonna tell you the ingredients. It's just good. Okay, you'll see it. You can check out the ads and stuff.
If you like peanut butter and you like chocolate, you'll like these. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's not Reese's. Okay, he's not
No.
trying to rip Reese's. Okay,
No,
it's
a different
but
kind
yeah,
of-
it's good.
Yeah, it's very.
But my week was okay. I missed swim yesterday, but it was for like a good reason. We got a Christmas tree. We like getting fresh Christmas trees, so it was getting a tree day and stuff like that. So a little busy this week, but just kind of like you said, getting ready for the holidays. And glad work week's almost over. Hit the gym today, feeling pumped. So. Before we get started, though, with the episode, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. And hey, if you like what you see, hit that like button for us.
Heck yeah! And speaking of liking things, I have to think. Well, for the first half, at least, Bill Belichick had to at least like what he saw from his offense and Bailey Zappi tonight, right?
Yeah, I can't. But they actually had offense tonight.
Yeah,
It was so weird. They actually scored. They did allow more than 10 points for the first time in 3 weeks now. Somehow the Steelers' offense was able to do that to them without Kenny Pickett. Maybe that's why. But it was definitely a show for it. Two crazy people like Hunter Henry going for 2 touchdowns. They barely scored, let alone one guy. And Zeke getting over 20-something fantasy points, getting a touchdown too. I saw a little thing that said the amount of fantasy points he scored tonight. I don't know if it's standard, half, or full PPR. Okay, I don't know. Or what kind of rules they're playing with. But it's maybe standard rules. He's had more points than any game that Tony Pollard's had this year already. I guess it's week 14, but still, that's pretty impressive since that's the guy that they gave away. Now, on a consistent basis, Tony Pollard has definitely produced more than Zeke, but the peaks are apparently not as high as Zeke's still are. Did you catch any of the game?
Actually got home and was able to watch the second half because when I left and was driving home, I checked the score and it was halftime and it was 21-10 New England. I was like, what the heck is going on over in Pittsburgh tonight? Like, that's crazy. So by the time I got home and looked at the score and realized that Zappi had 3 touchdowns already, I was like, wow, okay, they might have figured something out on offense and maybe they, can try to, not that they're going to make the playoffs, but build on something for next year. And maybe Zappi's their guy. And then you see the second half come and they do absolutely nothing. And the Steelers, get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, I think in the fourth quarter, about midway through to, get themselves within a field goal. They had the ball back at least, I think 2 or 3 times in the last 4 minutes. And every time it was a turnover or on downs or a punt. And then the last one, they had the ball, they were driving and I think they got about midfield or 2 and then just ran out of time with no timeouts. It's just an ugly game, but Tomlin and Belichick are both defensive coaches, so I guess I'm not really too shocked that it was a low scoring kind of affair.
Yeah, I'm shocked at the winner. To be honest with you, I did think
Yeah.
the Steelers were going to pull it off, especially at home, and the way that the Patriots have been playing. I think the record is 52-0 when
Oh my gosh.
allowing less than 10 points and a certain amount of yards on yourself, and they are 50 now. Now the whole NFL's record is 52-3, and the Patriots own those 3 losses all in the last 3 weeks
Ugh,
straight. So it
man.
was bad, but they finally got back on the horse, like you said. Bailey Zappi was there to do it, not Mac Jones. I saw a mock draft today that shows the Patriots making a trade with the Bears to move up to number one to pick Caleb Williams.
No.
I don't know if that's one of the teams on his short list of teams that he would not be a brat for. I mean, that he would play for, but
No.
yeah, I don't know.
If
So
you're the
this
Bears,
doesn't
no
help them in
way,
that,
right?
but I guess a trade is anything. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if they feel that Justin Fields is something and they would rather get him other weapons, like maybe Marvin Harrison or somebody to throw it to him, or some high grade offensive lineman to actually protect the guy. Now, here's the thing: I've watched him play. And I've seen plenty of times where people highlight, whether it be individuals like on YouTube or shows on ESPN. There's plenty of people open. The receivers are damn near waving their hands like this, and he's just bouncing around the pocket and takes off running. So I don't necessarily know if it's a lack of time that he is the reason that he's bad, not as good, but I don't know. Maybe that's what. Maybe they're running with Justin. Other than that, yeah, I would 100% take Caleb Williams
Okay.
if you're anybody that is at the bottom.
If the Patriots call the Bears and ask them for that number one pick, the Bears have to ask for the world. There's no way you just give that pick to New England and let them take Caleb. And then if Caleb, hits, you have to sit there and think about that for the next 10 to 15 years of Caleb just going off and what could have been because you decided, oh, Fields is better and we got to get him. Like, no, man, I don't understand that at all. If you,
Yeah, I wouldn't.
man, last year I understood it a little more because Bryce Young is still okay and hasn't played well in Carolina. But if your Fields you still have him under contract. I don't know how much longer he's got. He's got to be at his last year of his deal.
I'm
next
looking that
year.
up right now.
Okay, because I figure if you're Chicago, nothing has worked with Fields in 3 or 4 years. Why would you think another year is going to change that? And you don't. Yeah, I don't know. I worry about
$6 million, $6 million cap hit next year. That's it. Last year.
Okay, well then, I guess if you don't think Justin's the guy, then I would take Caleb Williams if you end up with the number one or whatever quarterback you decide is better for you. But I would assume it would be Caleb, and go from there.
I mean, I like Justin Fields maybe as a person. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
don't.
if it's a lack of direction and coaching that is, making him not look as good because he was stellar at Ohio State, but there's a handful of Ohio State quarterbacks that look stellar. The problem is, and then they come to the NFL and then they don't. But the problem is there's one Ohio State quarterback doing it right now, CJ Stroud, who's just
Yeah,
killing it. So
absolutely.
when you look at that, he just got here, and you have Justin Fields who's been here, and you say, well, but what if CJ Stroud went to a great organization and they picked
Houston.
him, like second. So yeah, they're not great. They were expected to be at the bottom of the AFC South,
Yeah.
and they're not. So yeah, I would move on personally from Justin Fields, but that was something else. But either way, back to the Patriots Steelers. Seemingly good game, low scoring, tight, close, but didn't seem that
Battle
fun.
of backup quarterback seems to be a theme right now. Like we're going into this weekend with a lot of different weird matchups, including the Jags going to Cleveland. I know they haven't. Have they officially ruled Lawrence out? I feel like I keep hearing they haven't officially ruled him out yet, but I'm like, there's no way he's playing next week. There's
Apparently,
absolutely
he has a high ankle sprain. But to
yeah.
answer your question, because I help monitor my wife's fantasy team, he's still listed as questionable.
Okay, see that's weird. I feel like it's gonna be CJ Beathard versus Joe Flacco, right? And we're gonna be Jags Browns with that matchup of all quarterback matchups.
Yeah, and it's weird because normally, like, let's say you were just like an average fan and you've never really seen or heard of the Jags or the Browns do anything good, you wouldn't think that a Week 14 Jags Browns matchup is something that would be really enticing. But had all the starters been there, it'd be very something to look at, especially with the Browns defense trying to stop Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
I don't really know how much of a struggle they're going to have stopping CJ Beathard, but Trevor Lawrence would have given them a little bit more of a run for their money.
Yeah, and
This one's going to be a little bit more boring, in my
yeah,
opinion, but
yeah, for sure. But also the Browns defense didn't play great last week against the Rams. Now that's an actual, offense and system
yeah,
that
Matt
they know what
Stafford's
they're
a little
doing. And
better than that.
yeah, Matt Stafford is definitely better. But you got to think Cleveland's going to have to bounce back from that performance last week. They're at home. The Jags are a Florida team that's going up into Cleveland in December, so it's not going to be nice weather. It'll probably be cold. I don't know if it's snowing or anything like that, but it's definitely going to be cold in a different environment. And I don't know. Flacco looked really good last week against the Rams, minus that one lob up into the air that ended up as an interception. But I think with more
it's his
time,
first game back.
Yeah, exactly. With more time in the offense and kind of clicking with these guys throughout the week through practice, you would think that would improve and they'll be a little better. So I don't know. I feel like the Jags are going to struggle, like you said, with the Browns defense, and Browns are going to probably beat them 20-10 or something like that. It's going to be not super high scoring because the Browns, again, with Flacco, are not the best offense, but definitely better than what the Jags have, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember CJ Beathard. I know I've seen him play before. He started in the NFL, or at least played in the NFL previously. Yeah. I don't know how well he's done. But Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people would say that was because of his defense, and I would most likely agree, to be honest with you. But he's not a slouch. He's not somebody that you should depend on as like the savior. He's no Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, the only guy on your team that has to do everything kind of person. But he was putting the ball where it needed to go that game. I was watching it, and it was pretty much in the right spot. So I think it's going to be a decent game. Man, I think the Browns kind of edge it out. I agree. This is where I kind of have a question, though. In your opinion, who is this truly like a bigger game for? Not individuals, but which team? Like, who has the division like breathing down their neck more? I understand that the Browns don't lead theirs, but as far as just like general competition, Jags do lead theirs with the Texans and the Colts right behind them. Who is this like truly a bigger game for? Which of these teams do you feel like this loss is maybe not season ending, but like really debilitating?
I think I'd have to pick the Jags only because, like you said, there's two teams right on their heels. They're one game back in the standing. So if the Jags lose and the Colts win and Houston wins this weekend, they're all three going to have the same 8-5 record going into the last 4 games, which is kind of crazy to think about because the Jags had such a big hold on the division early. But
yes,
Houston and Indy have been playing really well. Minshew Magic is going off in Indianapolis for some reason, but I don't know.
Why doesn't everybody just sign this guy?
Well, actually, I heard somebody talk about this. It might have been Barr when I was listening to ESPN last week when he was filling in. He talked about how having a quarterback like Minshew as your backup is actually one of the better decisions you can have as a franchise. You want he's a good backup, but he's not the guy that you want to build your franchise around. But when he fills in, he plays well. He gets the team on a good vibe and feeling good about themselves and playing well. I mean, it's not like Minshew's throwing for 350 yards or anything, but they just have a good team overall. And as much as I hate to say it, Indy is really kind of good and in the thick of it right now. So this is a huge game for Jacksonville. If the Browns lose and go to 7-6, they're still in the hunt for a wild card spot, but the Jags could be too. But after having a lead in the division this so far in the season, that would be the worst thing to lose this game and possibly end up losing the division when it's all said and done too.
Yeah, I can see that. He averages this year. Where's the average?
Which average are we talking about?
Anyways, I'm talking about yards per game. So he averages yards per game about 190, 200 yards a game. So to your point, he's not throwing for 350. Yeah. There's games though where he can, shoulder the load a little bit. Like this last one, 312, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Yeah. One of them to Michael Pittman, who's on my fantasy team, but that didn't matter because I wasn't paying attention this week. So yeah, it's gonna be tight, and I agree with you. I think the Jags need it more to just kind of really solidify themselves, especially where we thought they were going to take it from last year.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of must-win games for teams this week, and I think the next one that we need to talk about and really debate of who needs it more too is the Bills going to the Chiefs. I mean, the Bills are at 6-6. They've been struggling the last few weeks. I mean, their offense all season really has been kind of lethargic and up and down. But going into Kansas City, who just lost again to the Packers and have not played well the last few weeks either. Their defense is still playing well and keeping them in games, but Pat and that offense has just looked to struggle. And the Chiefs only have a 2-game lead on the Broncos of all teams at this point. So
right.
Yeah, who would have thought we'd be saying
they started 1-5.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying, like, if you're the Chiefs, I think it's a must-win for both, especially if you're the Bills trying to keep your wild card hopes alive, because you're not going to catch the Dolphins at this point. You're 3 games back. But, I don't know, man. The Chiefs need to win this game. The defense has been solid. Allen throws interceptions every week for the most part, or it seems like. So I would think the Chiefs defense will probably, take advantage of that and kind of screw. Their back end has been really good, I feel like, all season. It's just been the offense for the Chiefs, but being at home, maybe some home cooking and feeling good about themselves and maybe get a big win 24-14 over the Bills. I just think the Bills are so hard. We've talked about them all season. 2 weeks they'll have some good games, and then 3 weeks they'll have bad games, and then they have a good one. They have a bad, like, they're so inconsistent. It's hard to even think they can win a game, let alone get into the playoffs.
The Chiefs need this game, like need this game. If they lose, which I think they will,
Oh,
I don't think they advance past the second round. That's my prediction for the rest of the season. That's because it's just too telling. It's becoming too telling. You can only get away with so much so long. I know you have Patrick Mahomes, and I know you have, if not one of the best quarterbacks ever, at least the best quarterback probably of this generation. Most would agree.
yeah.
Some people are close, but most would agree that he's the best quarterback of this generation. But there's only so much that one person can do because he can't also catch the ball. And as good as Travis Kelce is, all you have to do is put 2 on him. And now what? Now, granted, he could be double teamed sometimes, but not consistently enough to win game. You can't just throw it to one guy the whole time. So that's my prediction. If they lose on Sunday to Buffalo, they're not advancing past the second round because they just don't have it. This is one of the teams that they need to beat. This is the one that needs to prove, well, like you said, not only to make sure that they stay up in the division, but prove to themselves that they can beat tough teams. They just went to Lambeau, which is now he's 0-1 in Lambeau. It's his first visit to Lambeau, and he lost.
Yep.
Hollowed ground that it is. They don't look good. I know Jordan Love and the Packers. Jordan Love started to come around and kind of figure some things out. And the Packers defense is always at least middle of the pack or better. But Patrick Mahomes is, like I said, the quarterback of this generation needs to kind of act like it and show it.
Not only that, you said they won't get to the second round if they lose this weekend. You don't think? I mean, they've hosted the AFC title game 5 years in a row.
True.
So if they don't even get the number 1 seed, even if they were to
make
it to the AFC title game, they would have to be on the road for the first time. So
and probably in Baltimore.
Oh man, that would be hard.
Or the only other person that might be, is Miami, who's currently the number 1 seed. I think they might be able to beat Miami. But Miami looks really good because Miami is really good at outscoring you, and their defense is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's been better too, especially since Jalen Ramsey's come back.
So we shall see. To be honest with you, though, the game that I'm most excited about this week is the Sunday Night Football game.
Oh yeah, big time.
I know it's one of the most overplayed kind of rivalries, I guess you'd say, in the NFL, Eagles-Cowboys. But this time, it feels different, to be honest. Eagles are on I would say, a bit of a skid. They lose 1 game to the Niners. They now sit at 10-2 with the best record in the NFL. But yeah, they're on a bit of a skid. And the Cowboys are sitting at 9-3, literally 1 game back. Cowboys already went to Philly, lost by 5, 28-23 a couple weeks ago. And they now host the reeling Eagles after losing to the Niners at home just last weekend. I don't really know who I want to win this game, but I need it to be a good game. It's Sunday Night Football. I want to be watched. I want to watch, so be good. Okay?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the game of the week, absolutely. Because when the Eagles lost last week, you think, oh man, like if the Cowboys beat them next week, they have a chance to take the division, 1, 2, even sneak up and get the top seed, because I believe that even though the Eagles lost last week, they still have the number 1 seed in the NFC. So
yeah, no, they do 100%.
Okay, so and I don't know. The Dak had no interceptions the last time they played in Philly, and they still lost. But being at Jerry World will probably make things a little different. We talked about it last week too. Before the Eagles lost to the Niners, they had been struggling, even though they've been winning the 4 previous games. They had trailed at halftime in all 4, somehow clawed their way back to get a win. Last week, down at half again, but the Niners are just too good. Where when they have a lead, their defense just plays so much better and so much more free. And it got out of control in the third quarter, and then they took it from there. So if the Eagles' defensive line can come to play and actually make Dak move out of the pocket and have to hurry and maybe rush some throws, maybe that back end of the defense actually shows up, because I know we've talked about how they're ranked in the bottom 10 of the league and have not gotten better even with Kevin Byard there. So I don't know. Maybe the way they played and struggling, unless they come out early and look like they actually want to play, I feel like the Cowboys are going to take an early lead and kind of, Dak's just going to cut up that back end of the defense, I think, and get them a big win.
I kind of think that's what's more likely to happen. But this is what's kind of funny now that I think about it. The 2 favorites for NFL MVP are Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott. What's crazy, what shot Brock Purdy ahead of the field was a dominant road win against the Eagles. What would happen if the Cowboys put up a dominant now home win against the Eagles? Are they just like testing ground for the NFL MVP?
I mean, they
Whoever could
could
beat
be.
the Eagles at the time kind of keeps moving up. I mean, granted, you have to have a resume behind you as well. It's not just if you randomly beat the Eagles one week that you're the NFL MVP. But that seems like it could happen 2 weeks in a row if Dak's able to really put up a good game and take a stranglehold. Right now, the Eagles, like you said, sit at 10-2 at the 1 seed, but the Niners, Cowboys, and Lions all sit at 9-3.
Oh man. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
the rest of the NFC is trash. Nobody's going to do anything. Falcons, Vikings, Packers, Rams, all 6-6, 6-6, all 6-6. So, but those top four teams, I think, are going to be the ones kind of fighting for it at the end, and it's
yeah.
getting close.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I mean, you're talking about basically all the division leaders too at that point. They are just
Oh yeah.
I mean, my gosh, the NFC is going to be brutal in the playoffs. If you're a wild card team, good luck even getting out of that round.
What's crazy that is right now a 6-6 team in the AFC is the 9 seed, which is the Broncos, and a 6-6 team in the NFC is a 4 seed, which is the Falcons. And even after that, that's a 6 seed and a 7 seed and an 8 seed, all 6-6. So pretty mediocre in the NFC, if you ask me. But top four, strong.
Wow. Yeah, and speaking of mediocre, when you come to that too, I mean, the Vikings, like you said, 6-6. They're going to Oakland. Oakland. Wow, I just said Oakland.
Yeah,
I saw Raiders on the screen and said Oakland.
Raiders,
It's like when you see
baby.
the Chargers, and some people still say San Diego. Can't get out of your head. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, the Vikings 6-6 going to Vegas to play the Raiders, who are 5-7. I know the Raiders aren't in a wild card spot now, but as weird as the AFC is and that part of it, they could win and
Mhm.
possibly put themselves back in the race.
Yep.
But if you're the Vikings with Josh Dobbs now back at the starting quarterback, they decided to stick with him. They are. It's weird. If you look at their record, they're 6-6. They're 4-2 on the road, and 2-4 at home, which makes no sense.
No, you'd think you'd
So
win those home games. Those poor fans in Minnesota be
I know.
watching more losses than wins.
Hey, at least they're in a nice stadium, I guess, right?
Yeah, true. That
It's not
US
the
Bank
worst.
Stadium. I mean, I haven't been there, but it looks really nice.
Seen it from the outside when I was in Minnesota this summer driving by it. It is pretty nice, I have to say.
Nice.
But it'll be interesting to see. Dobbs is he had those first couple weeks and then he had a bad game and everyone was like, "Oh, Dobbs is over." But it's only a couple games. I think the biggest thing though is you talked about maybe Justin Jefferson coming back this week, right?
Yes, he's the yeah. So Dobbs, to me, in my opinion, this is like do or die, right? It got off to that hot start. People started to question it when he kind of lost some games, but they've been playing some tough people. He lost Justin Jefferson like right away. I think J Jets was out before
I think before even
Kirk Cousins got hurt, so he didn't have him. And now that all they have to do is really just cover Addison, and all you have is Hawkinson, right? He has Hawkinson, yeah. It's a lot of sons: Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. But getting Jefferson back this week is definitely going to help. I kind of just think that the Vikings like need it. I feel like they're due for a win, and because the Raiders have made so many changes, have a rookie quarterback and Aiden O'Connell, and the Antonio Pierce hype. Not that he's not good, and not that he won't continue to be good. He deserves the starting job, in my opinion. It seems like the team loves him, and he should be able to, once he kind of gets his hands on everything in the offseason, maybe turn things around. But it's just too new, and you just got here. Not here. I know he's been in Vegas, but the head coaching position. So I just feel like it's still just not exactly settled. I think they win by like a field goal. They, as in the Vikings. I think they sneak one out, win by like a field goal.
Yeah, I definitely expect it to be a close game and them to sneak out of there. But I don't know if it's maybe a field goal. Maybe they can get like a 23-14, get a late touchdown and kind of spread it out a little bit and give them a little bit of breathing room. But I'm with you. I think the Vikings go in there and continue their road victories this year, really, and get their 5th one.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that stat. That helps me feel better about my pick now that I said they were going to win. I just thought they were going to win because I think they're doing a lot, but that's a good stat to kind of solidify it, though. Hopefully, to moving to 5-2 on the road for them.
Absolutely, and maybe sometimes teams unfortunately, I hate to bring it up, but the Texas Rangers did win every road game in their World Series run this year. So maybe some teams take the road as more of a business trip, as they say, and take it a little more seriously, and maybe getting away from family and being. What is the thing? You want to be comfortable being uncomfortable? Maybe that's a good thing for the Vikings.
I guess they seem to like it. Maybe it's just cold in Minnesota. Like, no, they seem comfortable somewhere else. Yeah, Vegas is nice too.
They play indoors though. It's not like they have to play outdoors in the snow.
Yeah, but they have to drive to the stadium. It's cold outside. Somewhere else where it's cold is New York, and the Jets. are just running out of options, it seems, because
No.
they have a new starting quarterback. Zach Wilson will be QB1 for the New York Jets again.
Yep.
Well, like again.
Yeah. It's a couple
Kind of
times.
like more like again. But either way, he's back. So I don't really know what to make of it. We're kind of getting into a couple of our NFL notes here. We just kind of want to go over some of the little storylines. This is where we want to start because there's that note that kind of came out, or like a little storyline that said he is not refusing to play, but kind of
Yeah.
like not pouting either. That's maybe the wrong word to use,
Hesitant, I
but
guess, would be a good word.
that's a better one. He's a little hesitant to play because he's like, bro, do you want me to play or do you not want me to play? I'm
Yeah,
trying
give
my
me
best
both.
out there, and then you don't like it 1 week, so you put somebody else. Oh, that guy's not good, so you put me back. Oh, actually, you're not good, so but then that guy got hurt, so now you have to go back. It's like, dude, it's like, do you want me to play or not? If not, trade me or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I get it from his perspective, but when I made that point, you actually made a good one. A counterpoint to that is like, well, you should play because you got to show yourself, right?
Yeah, even if you're not going to ultimately be the starting quarterback for the Jets next year or beyond, if you want to continue to play in the NFL, anytime you get an opportunity to start and play, you got to take it. And at least, like they say, you're always auditioning for another job. Even all these teams that are under 500 and not playing for playoffs, that's what all those guys are doing. They're all still trying because they're playing for an ultimate job or contract next year on another team. Somebody's going to see something or watch film and be like, hey, maybe that guy would fit in our system better than where he is there. So
Yeah.
again, if you're Zach Wilson, you want to keep playing in the NFL as a quarterback, you got to take every opportunity they give you to play.
I agree. So that kind of made me think about it, but I do get his point, and like, bro, just pick one, man. You want me to play or not?
Yeah. But also, I mean, if you look at the NFL, it's next man up all the time. And if you're not doing it, they got to get somebody else in there. And then if they get injured, we'll throw you back in there because it's not like they're going to sign. Well, I mean, the Browns did sign Joe Flacco off the street. Maybe they should have done that.
Yeah. Well, like you said, next man up. I saw a clip today that was just kind of a laughing face of starters really don't want their backups playing in the NFL. And it's CJ Stroud comes out for one play because they need to check him out. Before the play is over, he's on the field with his helmet saying, all right, get off. It's my turn again. So, yeah, to your point, dude, they fight for that start.
Yeah, because, I mean, let's be honest, Tom Brady got his starting position because Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Injury.
And he was so
Yep.
hot they couldn't take him out. So as bad as it is, or as sucks as much as it can suck, you can lose your job because of an injury. So if you get the opportunity to get back out there, you got to go back out and see what happens.
Also, Drew Bledsoe paved the way for somebody else. He was starting quarterback, and then all of a sudden he got hurt, and then some other kid came up and never let go of the job. His name was Tony Romo.
Yeah.
He got that done twice to him. What the heck, Bledsoe? Jeez.
Yeah, that's true.
That was crazy. Another note, speaking of older guys like Romo and Bledsoe.
So weird.
Right? Raheem Mostert. I remember when there was this like weird thing a couple years ago. You and I had talked about it. He had played for like so many different teams, like one team every year, and he just kind of kept this like little chip on his shoulder. Finally finds a starting spot. I believe it was with the Niners.
Yeah, he was in the Super Bowl with them.
Yes, and he was in that like not Josh McDaniels. I keep on saying Josh. Mike McDaniels and Kyle Shanahan. That coaching tree. He was in that scheme. And Mike McDaniels has taken it and ran with it.
Absolutely.
Mostert currently leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 13. Okay, which is great. Great, good for him. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, he's on the freaking Dolphins. They score like crazy. Yeah. But when it comes to running backs, similar to what we were talking about before the season started with this whole Saquon holdout, a lot of times running backs prime is right when they get in the league. As you get a little bit older, a lot of times you start to diminish, which is why, a lot of the teams are holding out, or I'm sorry, a lot of the players are holding out because teams didn't want to give them a contract because they're getting older and they know how fragile the running back position is.
Yeah.
What is the stat that I sent you, dude? Tell me how Mostert does this.
It doesn't make any sense. I started really thinking about it after I read it. I was like, wait, what? That doesn't even make any sense. So you're telling me right now that Mostert is the same age as Le'Veon Bell, who's been out of the league for what? 3
years
now?
Yep.
He's a year older than Melvin Gordon, who feels like he's been in the league forever.
Yeah, but I believe is either not playing or the third string somewhere.
I think he might be the third string in Denver. At least he was
Bronco?
last year. I don't know if he's still there anymore.
I think
and then he's 2 years older than Gurley, who again has not been in the league for multiple years.
God.
He's 3 years older than Zeke, who again I feel like has been in the league forever. And then
has been let go by the team that paid him.
Yes, and then he's 4 years older than Joe Mixon, who's on the Bengals, which I just like.
Who's doing pretty good.
how is a guy that age, when we're in an era of not wanting not wanting older running backs, just leading the league in the NFL? Maybe this will, although it could be just the system that he's, like you said, playing in.
Yeah, it's a great system.
But maybe more coaches that have a system similar to Daniel or Shanahan can start looking at these older running backs and realizing that, maybe we don't have to pay them as much as these younger guys, but they're still valuable in a sense.
True. And I think that maybe some of it is the mileage as opposed to the age, maybe because Mostert, like we talked about, or like I talked about when I first brought it up, was bouncing from team to team. He was never really the cowbell back. Yeah, that's just the guy who's doing, 30 rushes, 30 attempts a game, 20 to 25 attempts a game, and catching out of the back. He was never that guy. So maybe that's what's been able to kind of add to his longevity. I don't know what it is, but I kind of like him. Seems cool. And he's fast. The whole team's so fast, bro. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. Yeah.
But I mean, they use it correctly. We talked about, I think there was a highlight we used the other day in the rundown where, Tyreek Hill's on one side, they put him in motion, and by the time they call hike, he's already like fully running at the line of scrimmage. And
sprinting, gone.
5-yard jump on the guy who's got to run backwards even to keep up with him initially.
Exactly. All Tua has to do is sit, 1, 2, throw it deep. Tyreek's going to be somewhere. Just throw it. Tyreek's there somewhere. He's going to catch it. Throw it as far as you can. He's going to catch it. That's all you got.
If he doesn't, no one else will get there, so it won't matter.
Yeah, very true. Unless they're playing such deep prevent safety help or something like that. That's the only reason. He's just waiting there or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because Tua's a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
Not as good as some of these quarterbacks that we have on this list, though.
Yeah.
This is a weird one that came out after the, Bengals game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one is a total list of quarterbacks with 350 yards or more in a game and an 85% completion percentage in that same game. Over the last 20 years, some of these names on these lists, okay? Let me give you the first 3, and Corey will give you the last 3. Peyton Manning. He's pretty good at football.
Not bad.
Tom Brady.
Pretty good.
He's been known to throw the ball a couple times. Drew Brees. Might hold a record or 2 in the NFL. Who else they got?
And a 3. Those 3 alone is already a company that you want to be in.
GOAT status.
The next couple ones are guys that are actively in the league right now, which is Lamar Jackson. So, that's not really that hard to expect. And Justin Herbert, which, again, not that hard to expect the way he's been playing on the offensive side of the ball, at least for the Chargers the last few years. The last one, though, is the one who kind of brought this whole thing up with the Bengal win the other day when he filled in at quarterback, is Jake Browning.
Jake Browning.
What a game the Bengals had. Yeah. Who would have thought? I think we all thought, okay, well, Burrow's out. They're going to falter.
I thought they were going to lose, 100%.
But you also, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast or you talked about this off air when we were prepping here. Another, you mentioned how Jake Browning, he played 4 years at Washington and started every year. There was nobody ever behind him or him looking over his shoulder. Then he goes to the NFL, gets drafted. I think it was Minnesota we talked about. He was on their practice squad for a couple years. And then eventually the Bengals brought him in as a practice squad guy, and he's been there since 2021 and, kind of knows the system well. So I guess it shouldn't be too shocking that he had a good game. It's just shocking that he had a great, fantastic game like he did.
Yeah, that's very true. The other thing that I had read about him was that just before he got called by the Bengals, he was actually looking to quit football because he didn't really have a home. He was actually, this is why I think he's good. He was looking to get into coaching. I feel like people who get into coaching understand the game at a different level.
Absolutely.
Even if they may not be able to physically do the things themselves, they know all of the mental aspect of it that they need to in order to succeed. And that's what he was considering doing before he got a call from Cincinnati. And he said, all right, well, let me just keep giving this a try then. If somebody still wants me to play, there's always time to coach, you know.
For sure.
But if somebody wants me to play, you got to take advantage of that moment because your playing career in the NFL averages 3 years, probably less for backup quarterbacks. So that was pretty cool.
Kind of takes us back to that whole point of we talked about Zach Wilson taking every opportunity you get. Jake Browning took the opportunity and ran with it. And hopefully this, even if they end up making the playoffs and then losing a game, if you're the Bengals, you got to think that maybe Jake Browning is a trade piece in the offseason. There's going to be teams calling if he continues to play not that well, obviously, at 85% completion. But if he can continue to play decent and keep the Bengals in games and possibly win a few and sneak into the playoffs, I think in the offseason, you got to think if you're the Bengals, you got to look around and see who would be willing to give you something because you're going to give that starting job back to Burrow. It's not going to go back to Browning the following year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if he can show himself, dude, even if you get a nice third round pick out of it or something like that, you can get a lot with a third round pick. That's a viable starter, 100%, as long as you draft correctly.
Only good so far, and if he continues, he's young. It's not like Nick Foles when he was good at the end, his 30s already, and you're like, oh, he's got a couple years we can try and see what happens. But no, he's under. under 30 years old, still has a lot of potential. And if, it works out well and somebody gives him an opportunity, I mean, I
Good
wouldn't
for
be
him.
mad if the Titans called and brought him in and had him battle with Levis next year for the starting job, if I'm being honest.
True. This is something we probably should have talked about when we referenced Thursday Night Football, but it didn't click when we were setting it up. So that's our bad. Before this game started, though, there was this weird statistic.
Before you go, I updated your
Oh, you
notes,
updated
including
it.
tonight.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So check this out. Because it was crazier yesterday, in my opinion, because at least their record was like 2-game gap.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers are 7-6 this season. Not the best, but they have who knows who helming the quarterback position. They're 7-6, but they've actually, like we've talked about, been outgained and obviously all this stuff, outscored. Obviously, they have a minus 40 point differential over the season, and currently one game above 500. Opposite of that, we got the Bills sit at 6-6 at 500, barely. Their point differential plus 101. They've outscored their opponents over this season by 101 points and have won just as many games as they've lost. The Steelers, on the other hand, have literally been outscored by 40 points and have more wins than losses. This is a crazy, weird stat, is it not?
It absolutely is, and I think the biggest thing is that means that when they win big, and when they lose big, kind of, or like lose close, I guess.
Lose small, yeah.
Yeah, so which is kind of what's happened. They lost by 3 to Philly in overtime last week in the rain, or 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. They just, I don't know, man. It's just weird. It's a weird thing to think about that you can be that high of a differential and still not have more wins than losses. But again, we talked about this all season with Josh Allen and how you brought up the Jay Cutler comparison, and it just seems to be more and more a thing the farther we get through this season. I can't get it out of my head now since you brought it up.
The biggest point differential in the league right now is actually the Cowboys at 168.
Oh my gosh.
Followed by the Ravens at 137, the Dolphins at 118, and then the Bills at 101. So they're literally like the 5th highest scoring, and they just can't do anything.
Their defense is not very good, which we don't have to go into detail because I haven't read the article about it, but I don't know if you saw a little blurb about their coach McDermott and him using 9/11 terrorists as a way to like talk about being a team a couple years ago.
Yeah, all I saw on the headline of ESPN was Bill's coach apologized for 9/11 remarks in 2019. I was like, I don't even want to get into that before I get into this freaking show. So, yeah, we'll have to cover that on the Monday episode when we read up a little bit more about it.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, it just seemed kind of odd. And the fact that it happened in 2019, it's kind of weird it's coming out now. Why didn't it come out?
Yeah, 4 years later.
Yeah.
People love digging up shit, to be honest with you, which I hate, to be honest with you. I understand nobody's perfect, right? And sometimes we mess up. Sometimes there's some egregious things. But like a tweet or something from like 8 years ago, it's like, bro, can we just like move on? You know what I mean? Like, unless it's like that egregious, then maybe not. But jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of
something that
many years though.
Yeah, exactly. Something that seems egregious, but maybe he's not taking it so heavily is Hayden Hurst. I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but Corey and I read an article the other day where we're talking about Hayden Hurst in concussion protocol from a hit that he suffered in a game November 9th against the Bears. However, the hit was a little bit more of a stinger than you would sit. I know he is involved in concussion protocol, but he hasn't played since the 9th. That's now been a month close to. And the reason is because he was diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia. Oof. You'd quit, no? That's what you said.
Absolutely. We read the things of like what happens when you have post-traumatic amnesia, and the symptoms were all over the place, and forgetfulness, not knowing where you are, not knowing familiar faces, and then he comes out saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to come back soon." Like, why would you want to go back out on the NFL field and take an opportunity or possibility of getting hit again? And because once you have concussions, you are more prone to them as time comes, and I don't think this is his first one, because if it is, wow, he got really bad to get post-traumatic amnesia from his first one in his career. I'm with you, man. I wouldn't continue playing. I would call it quits and just maybe join a coaching staff or something. Take the rest of the year off. There's got to be, man, I don't know. That's just scary. But NFL guys are crazy. They're gladiators in the first place.
I mean, yeah, even if you have a passion, though, you got to think long-term, man. Right? You got to do. And we've seen plenty, including people like Gronk, right, retiring early Now, I mean, I don't mean to tell Hayden Hurst what to do. He hasn't been in the
No,
league
no.
as long as Gronk, nor has he had as a successful career as Gronk. So Gronk can retire on top because he does. I mean, he still gets commercials. He doesn't even play, bro, just
Yeah.
because of the personality he is and the winner that he was. So I get. I'm not trying to tell Hayden what to do, but dude, you got to think long term. Let me read to you guys what the Cleveland Clinic says about post-traumatic amnesia. It's an amnesia that develops after an injury. It can involve multiple forms of amnesia. It can invoke confusion and frustration in those impacted because they have difficulty remembering where they are, how they got there, or any new information since the injury. Well, damn, bro, that sounds like you shouldn't play, like you said.
Right?
But he tweeted the other day. What you see? What you saw? What he said?
Oh, I never understand it, man. I didn't get it.
He quotes, "While it was scary, it is not all caps career ending." This is his tweet or X, whatever it's called. I'm starting my return to play this week, so fingers crossed I make it back for the last few weeks. God bless and keep pounding. I'm assuming that's a Panthers thing. Keep pounding, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Not his head, because it's probably pounding too.
Right? That's what I thought. I was like, that's kind of a weird way to. I know it's your slogan for the team. That is a weird thing to say in this moment when you're talking about head injury you're coming back from. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's scary, and the fact that it says could not know where they are. You know, we've had athletes in the past before we were all CTE and concussion aware that guys would get hit and go back in the game and play, and then you'd ask him, like Paul Correa is a really famous one that comes to mind. He got hit so hard in that game 6 against the Devils in that 0-3 final. That video of him is, I mean, I think he's dead on the ice in that video. There's nobody that's ever going to convince me differently. And when they zoom in and he does that, like, breathe in, and you can see the fog come on his mask, and he's like, whoa, where am I? How did I get here? He doesn't remember game 6. He does, and he came back and played in that and scored a goal. He doesn't remember game 7, which is 2 days later in New Jersey they had to fly to. Like, that is not good. And if this is the NFL where you're getting hit even more so and by bigger, stronger guys, I don't know why you would put yourself back out there. But again, these guys are gladiators. They do this because they love the game. And, you got to have a little bit of an ego to get to this point in professional sports. So you got to think, oh, no, I'll be fine. I can be better and improve from here. But I couldn't do it. It scares me thinking about it. Like, I've even asked my sister about this, who's going to have a baby here in April. Like, have you and Kevin talked about like letting your kids play football growing up or not? Like that's like got to be a topic of conversation, I would think. And they live in Ohio and Columbus, where Buckeyes are, so it's definitely going to be a conversation. But that scares me, man, even thinking about
Yeah, true. Go blue.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd leave.
Yeah.
Good luck, Hayden. Praying for you, bro.
Yeah.
Last thing, because we're taking a little bit of a break from the NCAA. Football, I mean, basketball's starting to get going a little bit.
Yep.
So once that gets heating up, we'll start seeing how some teams are shaking out. But football, we're right between the time where the season's ended and bowl season started. But there's one little thing that we wanted to talk about because I just think it was so crazy. So the first day, because this is huge now, especially since NIL money is around, this is even bigger, I feel.
Yeah.
1,184 NCAA players entered the transfer portal on the first day of it being open. Almost 1,200 players are down to move. Some of them from some big schools, and some of them from football and basketball and teams or sports that we see a lot. I mean, when they say NCAA players, they mean from all sorts of sports. So this could be swim, this could be golf, this could be whatever. So some sports that we pay a little bit less attention to. But a lot of these are the ones that we do pay attention to, including the Oregon State quarterback that we talked about the other day. So I just thought that was a pretty big number.
Say his last name for me real quick because I can't pronounce it correctly, and I want to make sure I try.
DJ
Ungalele, I think is
State QB. To be honest with you, I don't know his name.
He's Hawaiian, so that's why I'm asking you. You would know better.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. Can you show me? Oh,
DJ.
Oh, dang.
Ungalele.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's how I would start it.
Okay.
Yeah. Uagalele.
Ungalele, I think is what they said the other day.
I'm probably saying it wrong. Gosh, you put me on the spot, man.
In the transfer portal. I mean, Oregon State had a good run. He had a good 3 years there. He's going to try to go somewhere else. I don't know where they'll end up, but the transfer portal, man. I also, we talked about Caleb Williams during the year about not going to the NFL because he could stay
He's going to the
at
NFL.
SC or whatever. I agree. But now there's a little bit of talk coming out that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not considering completely, but there's talk of he's getting offered so much money through NIL that he might not have to go to the NFL yet. But I'm like,
for what?
Go to the NFL, man. Get your full
for what
5-year deal. Yeah, exactly. There's no reason to stay there.
You're gonna go and lose to Michigan again?
I knew you were gonna go there
because the freaking quarterback left. He's in the transfer portal. The Ohio State quarterback's in the transfer portal. I forgot his last name right now, but so that you're gonna have. I mean, maybe that'll be better, right?
Yeah.
But that's the guy who got you into a Heisman race. No, you got yourself. Let me not. Okay, of course he's talented. I don't mean it like the quarterback did it.
Someone's got to
But I'm
get you the
saying
ball.
that's the guy who's throwing you the ball, right? That's my point. So I would just go to the NFL, bro. I don't see it. I understand NIL money, but NIL money is meant for the people to basically two things. One, not get taken advantage of by the colleges who are making all the money. That's the biggest one. And then two, for the people who aren't necessarily going to get fat contracts, but still have like a personality. And also for the other sports, bro, like the golfs and all the other ones that we talked about.
Yeah.
They can make NIL money. So
go
pro, dude.
You talk about how the portal is just athletes from the football side. Like I think I don't remember which school. I want to say maybe an Alabama quarterback or something. One of them transferred to a different school for lacrosse. He's not even transferring sport. Like he's transferring sports altogether. And so, which I'm an indoor lacrosse or box lacrosse guy now that I've been a season ticket holder in San Diego. So of course that story came up and Tim and I were talking about like, ooh, maybe he'll be in the NL in a couple of years. So, which the only reason I also brought that up is the NL just opened last weekend. There was a couple games. The Seals are playing this weekend down in San Diego on Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm not going because I have to work. But Tim will be down there, and so we'll probably do an update in a couple weeks and see how the Seals are doing. Only I will care about it, but it's sports, man.
I'm gonna care too. Hey, dude, if Tim doesn't go to a game and you go to a game, let me know. I'll take his ticket.
Down.
I'll buy it off him if you help.
Oh, you don't have to, man. We pay like I think it's like $9 or $10 a ticket per game for the whole year. It's
okay. Well, I'll buy him a coffee. I don't know if he drinks coffee, but yeah. All right, let's get out of the pigskin. We're getting onto the court. That's why I'm wearing this shirt today. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see I'm rocking this beautiful purple and gold Lakers shirt as we have progressed past the semifinal and into the final of the in-season tournament. But before we talk about it, as you can see on YouTube, for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you. But if you ever want to see our pretty faces or some of the videos and fun things that we share, feel free to check us out on YouTube. Just search RV from the Bench. Did you watch any of the game? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say also, if you want to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, don't forget at RVUFTB.
Yes, we're trying to be more active on that, so it'll be actually worth a follow. Let's get into those games, though. Today, there was both semifinal games. The Pacers took on the Bucks, and the Lakers played the Pelicans. One game was a lot closer than the other, but there's two teams that are heading to the finals. Pacers and Lakers both win. You watch any of either game?
I actually got to watch a little bit of both. The Pacers. This was a weird thing. I was talking about it yesterday with Tim at work. I was like, "Hey, so the semifinals are in Vegas and they're at the same arena. So is it going to be college tournament style where there's like 30 minutes in between the games where they come out and warm up? Because the NBA is not. Usually each team has like hour and a half to kind of get.
Oh, you got all the time in the world, right?
So then it turns out today the first game for Indiana and Milwaukee was at 5 Eastern. It started at 2:00 our time in Vegas. And the Laker game didn't start till 6:00 our time. So they did give them a good hour and a half, 2-hour gap in between games for the Lakers, and the Pelicans kind of have their normal, warm-up routines because they only have one court in the stadium. But yeah, the Pacers, it was a great game, came down to the finish. I know they ended up winning by 9, 128 to 119, but it was close and coming down to the wire. Halliburton hit a big three, I think with about 30 seconds left, and did the Dame time celebration, which Dame was asked about after the game. He said, "Hey, you got to be humble, man. You can't be mad when people are doing it back at you if you're doing it to them." So I thought that was awesome. I thought Halliburton and the Pacers, we've talked about, are the best offensive team in basketball, setting records and even just killing it, but they don't play defense. So it'll be interesting to see what they do against the Lakers, who, man, that Laker game was over in the middle of the third. They were up 30, I think, about 8 minutes after the third quarter started. LeBron only played 22 minutes, had 30 points. AD had a double-double. Taurean Prince had, I think, 5 threes. D'Lo had a couple. Rui had some points. I mean, just everybody chipped in today, and they were like a real team. It's nice to see them healthy and actually using all their pieces to kind of put their defense together and show
see what it does.
Down. I mean, 133 to 89. I mean, and the 89 was all. I mean, the last
89 in a 2023 NBA game. That's a third quarter score.
Absolutely, and they had all the bench guys in the fourth quarter. I mean, Max Christie, Hood Schifino was in there for the Lakers. There was even guys out. Lewis, I was like, who's that guy? I don't even know who he is. So they were just
Maxwell Lewis. Yep.
Yeah, they cleared the benches in the fourth quarter, and Lakers didn't let it get out of control. And now sets up a matchup of Lakers-Pacers on Saturday night at T-Mobile. It is a 2000 NBA Finals rematch. Not that any of those guys are still on the team, but it is kind of weird that they played in the Finals once, and now they're going to play in the in-season tournament final. And, Saturday night in Vegas. We'll see what happens.
Well, you ripped through all that so freaking fast. I wanted to cut really quickly to the Dame time. Well, let's show the shot and then the interview where Dame is asked about it later. Let's watch that real quick.
Let's do it.
Ball tipped, taken by Halliburton. And they reset with a new 14. Under a minute remaining. Pacers clinging to a 5-point lead. Halliburton tries another three. Bang! Tyrese Halliburton from downtown. Timeout Bucks. It's an 8-point lead.
Tyrese, he did like the Dame time at the in the game. Being a vet, like when you see like the new kids doing that, or like NBA players looking up to you in that way, like how does that make you feel seeing like someone do that?
I mean, it's when you. I learned as a kid, when you dish it out, you got to be willing to take it. And for as many times as I've done it to people, I can't be upset when somebody else does it. You know what I mean? I think that's also a sign of respect and acknowledgement for knowing my history and knowing what I do. And I didn't mind it. Was what it was. I've also known that when you having your moment, it's important to be careful and to be humble when you having your moments, because you just never know how the tables turn and when they're gonna turn. So I respected it. I didn't think we shook hands after the game, and I wasn't moved by it left or right.
Right. Yeah. See, I mean, he seems pretty respectful, but I feel like that's exactly what you have to do. To be honest with you, is if you could give it, you should be able to take it. I like when people do that, and it was a nice shot. And you know what? I like the best part, and I kind of agree with this too. The fact that, yes, it's a diss, but to be honest with you, it's also very respectful.
Yeah.
Dame earned that,
Dame time.
motion or whatever you want to call it, right? Dame earned the nickname Dame time. He earned by hitting late shots. He earned it by racking up points. By, dude, that one over Paul George from damn near half court, dude, is just will live in infamy in my brain for sure. But, it was so he's earned it, and he takes it as, yes, it's a little bit of a knock and like a diss, but it's also kind of paying homage to what Dame did. So I like the way that he kind of took it.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminded me, his response reminded me a little bit of Steph. Remember when the Warriors and Rockets were playing one time, and Chris Paul hit a shot in his face, and he did the shimmy coming down the court, and Steph was just laughing about it. And in the moment, you could see laughing, just like smiling, laughing, like, yeah, whatever, it's cool. They asked about it, it's like, hey, if you can give it, you got to be able to take it. So no big deal.
100%. And he gives it to, bro. Steph, man, with the sleep. One of my favorite, I will never forget the clip. There's this sick clip from the finals 2 years ago where Steph is driving where Steph is driving the sideline and runs over to basically either, I think it's a catch and shoot corner three, just raises up, drains it like nothing, right? And but like while it's in the air, right? Because he's just so freaking nasty. He turns around, and there's a guy on the bench that's a Warriors fan, and they both go like this together, sleep, and he runs down court. I was just like, dude, that's one of the coldest things I've ever seen. And then it splashes in as he's running. Oh my gosh. Dude's amazing.
I can't wait for him to retire, and they show the highlights of just him doing that, where he shoots it and turns around and walks away because he knows it's going in. There's so many of those that have happened. Like,
be a 45-minute freaking video.
At the end of the day, man, he's got a lot of them.
All right. Well, let's get back to the in-season tournament quickly before we get on to a couple of other NBA notes. Lakers-Pacers, this is my quick opinion on the game. If the Pacers win it, the in-season tournament's going to be awesome, and the Pacers are awesome, and this is the coolest thing now. And if and when the Lakers win it, who the hell cares about the in-season tournament? It's just another thing for the league to give the Lakers and LeBron, blah blah blah. It's why does it have to be that way? Why can't it just be an in-season tournament? Everyone always got to hate. Maybe because I'm normally the team that sucks. I like the Diamondbacks. I like the Cardinals. So it's weird to me to be on the other side where the team is good and everybody hates you. But I just don't get it. Why is it's the same tournament? But if a different team wins it, it's going to have a completely different outcome.
It's the same.
So who do you think wins the game?
Well, I think the Lakers are going to win because, one, they play defense. The Pacers do not play any defense. They score a bunch of points, but they don't play defense. And the Lakers, that especially the last couple games with Vando back and Reddish, has been just a monster.
Oh, so good.
And, I mean,
they're going to be hounding Halliburton.
He had Booker just all in kinds of his head last game, and they beat Phoenix on what was it, Tuesday?
in this quarterfinals, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell Booker was frustrated, but he's also the guy who got frustrated. He's getting double teamed in like Summer League one time or whatever, and getting pissed off about it.
Pickup or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, be better and figure out what you need to do to win games. But I think the Lakers take care of this. I don't know if it'll be as big a win as they had tonight against the
I don't
Lakers,
think so.
but
Indiana's pretty good.
LeBron and them seem pretty, and they're pretty on this in-season tournament. I think.
Well, it's because the NBA is giving it to them, of course.
It's
just giving it to them.
Same thing with the bubble. If the Lakers win,
Yeah.
Since the Lakers won the bubble, everyone, and then the players.
Bubble's stupid.
If anybody else would have won, it'd be like, oh, it was the hardest title ever. But if you talk to some of the players that were in there, they talk about. I think Dame was one of them too. That was like some of the best basketball that we've ever seen played.
Jamal Murray is the one that I remember the most.
Yeah, but you didn't
So
have
said
to
something like that.
travel. You didn't have everything was there. You go play. You go and do.
Lakers
rehab,
didn't get home
whatever you
court
do.
that they earned.
Yeah,
They're the
exactly.
best team in the league.
Yeah, you have no home court. You just get to stay there and play game. I don't know. It just the bubble seems to make more sense. And this in-season tournament, I think, is fun. And LeBron's taking it as a chance to be the first guy or team to win it. And I would assume he's probably going to win MVP because they are going to give an MVP.
Are they going to have one? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's an MVP award. I think there's an All NBA team for the tournament that they're going to call as well at the end of this thing. So LeBron again being having another thing on his resume that somebody else doesn't have on top of the 8,000 things he has already on his resume is going to be great. So I think Lakers win. I think we'll be celebrating, but hopefully there's no banner put up in Staples there's talk of Raj Markazi, I think, tweeted earlier that the Lakers have already kind of mentioned that they're not going to hang any banners besides an NBA title banner in crypto. Now, if they want to put the trophy in a banner at like the practice facility or something because you have that's fine. And then that's something the G League players can kind of see when they're there for practice and playing games at the Toyota Health Center. So.
Yeah, because if they're on the squad when an in-season tournament game is happening, if they're on a two-way, if they're helping play,
they get that money.
You're getting money. And right now you make it. Now, granted, you get paid, if not close to about $100K plus to play in the G League. That's pretty good money to play basketball, but still, if you could win that in one tournament, in one day, 5 times that,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's going to be tough because Indiana can score, but to your point, they can't stop anybody from scoring. So I'm thinking that I don't know who. The only thing is, I'm curious to see if AD is on or off. How reliant we have to be on LeBron, and the biggest thing I'm looking to watch is who covers Halliburton and how well do they do. Because it'll be telling for other players that will have to play and hopefully when we make the playoffs, so having to fight through who they cover.
Yeah, I would assume they're probably
Vando and Cam.
Vando and Cam will be the first 2 guys on him. And if depending on how that goes, I would assume Max Christie will get thrown at him as well, just to kind of give him a couple different looks.
Max Christie's quick, bro. He stays in front of everybody, dude.
He's playing really good defensively. He's hitting a couple threes here and there. I think one more year he's really going to pop, but. Yeah, his defense I think will be good, and he's young, so throw him out there and let him see what happens. Let all the young guys play some defense on him, and if they can disrupt Halliburton and in his flow, then it kind of ruins everything because that's the head of the snake when it comes down to Indiana's offense. He runs it all through him. So
definitely does. Head of the snake. We're moving on now from the in-season tournament, but we're keeping with head in the snake because this guy's been the head of the snake of a lot of teams that he's been on, but this is probably the one where he's not. Chris Paul. This has nothing to do with the Warriors, honestly. But Chris Paul is who we're talking about. There's been some talk. I think it was on the Gilbert Arenas podcast, right? Who was it? Kenyon Martin, right? That kind of not spilled the beans. No.
Yeah, but brought it up, and then I think Gilbert kind of told the whole story from there.
Oh, okay, yeah, Gilbert told it, right? But basically, we finally have an idea of what the heck happened between Chris Paul and Scott Foster. We know there's this crazy beef that basically Chris Paul never wins when Scott Foster is reffing, but we never understood what the heck the beef was. Well, we got a little bit of a story from Gilbert. Let's listen to what he says.
I believe after a game, Lil Chris was playing in the tunnel. Scott Foster in the car with the other refs rolls up to him, honks the horn at him, yells at him, get the fuck out the way, and some other expletives.
Talking to a little kid.
CP3 finds out about that naturally, like any of us would do it with our kids. Is not particularly happy about that. He also shed some light on some conversations they've had throughout the years with Scott Foster, kind of just saying some fuck shit before games, including big playoff games.
Yeah, that playoff game, I think it was against the Spurs, when he went up to him and said, hey, you haven't won against me on closeout games? Told him to his face, you haven't won. What the fuck are you telling me that for? Boom, loss.
So,
But yeah, the league had to step in because Chris Paul wanted to put them hands on him, as he should.
Scott need to be fired. Why is Scott not fired?
Weird, bro. Like, what the heck, Scott? What a freaking jerk. No wonder Krista. It's a little kid, dude.
Right? Yeah, this is when Chris Jr. I think his kid's name is Chris, right? Is it Chris Jr.? I don't know what his kid's name is now. I think about it. But if he was that young playing in the parking lot, like first of all, if
Or in
the
the hallway,
kid is down there in the service level, hallway, whatever, then as a player or a referee, or whatever, you got to realize that's probably a kid of somebody on the team or within the organization because they don't just allow kids down in the service. Like I
To
work
walk around.
The only kids down in the service level during a Ducks game are the wives and the kids of the players because they're going from like the team room that they're allowed to go into back to their seats or their suites or whatever. So there's no kids down at that part of the building during a game or after a game. So if you see them, you have to be aware that, hey, it's probably a kid of a player or something. Like maybe I should be more aware of how, well, it should be nicer in general, but you would think with a kid, you'd be more aware and not such a dick.
Yeah, 100%. I'm 100% behind Chris Paul on this one. There's nothing wrong that a kid could be doing where you need to scream at him. You know what I mean? Like, especially if it's not your own kid. Like, if you're rebuking or correcting your own kid, then that, that's
I'm not
your
going to
own
tell you
thing.
how to parent.
No, but like, dude, there's some random kid that's not your. No, I would be pissed as well. And Scott Foster has zero ground to stand on. I doubt anybody sides with him on this. It's not like, maybe he's apologized and he's tried to make it up and Chris is just holding a grudge or something. It seems like they're still just angry at each other for the same incident. So weird.
Absolutely. It's just strange that not only that, it's strange that it happened and whatever, but to let it seep into the professional side of it when you're reffing the guy's games, it just seems
Dude, that's lame.
I don't understand
lame.
why Foster's still reffing at that point.
No, either. He should definitely not be allowed to ref his games at least.
Yeah, if you have a personal vendetta against somebody, you have a bias. You shouldn't be able to have anything to do with a competition or game of that play.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Dumb.
We got some weird stat stuff kind of here. This is some crazy stuff that's happening in the NBA. Now, a lot of the scoring things that will happen, will be making records and making history, are going to happen just because scoring happens more in the NBA. But these ones still are pretty crazy. Okay, let me go over the first one. You go over the second one.
Got it.
Okay, this one's about Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic has 2 games with a 30-point triple-double and 0 turnovers over the last 4 days. This might be a little bit older. Maybe it's now 6 days.
I'll say it was probably
Over the
prior
last
to the Clipper game yesterday. But yeah.
So let's just say over this last week, 2 games with 30-point triple-double and 0 turnovers. Nobody has multiple 30-point triple-doubles with 0 turnovers over the last 40 years.
And he's a center.
And he has it in a week. Yeah.
He's a center on top of it. He's not even a point guard or a shooting guard that you would think would be more of a passer. I mean, at least old school way. The centers these days are definitely more passing. But man, Jokic is good. The Nuggets are good. I know
and he's just so quiet, dude. Doesn't even want to play. He just would rather be back in Serbia racing horses. Doesn't care about anything. It's just nuts to me.
Clocking in and clocking out and playing some basketball.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Like I go to my freaking work. That's how he goes.
Yeah.
I'm just like irritated. Like, damn it. We got a game today. Son of a bitch. Gotta go make $100 million this year. Jeez.
Man. Hard life.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. Crazy one. Well, speaking of his Euro friend, what's the second one we got?
Man, this Mavs game the other night, they won by 50 points over Utah, 147-97. I mean, it was over at half. I mean, Luka had a 29-point, 10 rebound, 10 assist at halftime, triple double. Like at halftime, they were at that, and it's like, okay, well, I can't imagine they're going to lose this game. They definitely didn't. He only played a few more minutes, I think, in the third because he ended up with 40, 10, and 11. So 40 is another 11 points, 1 more assist, and that's it. But he only played 32 minutes, and they, again, won 50, so they didn't need him. But the craziest part to me is he joins a couple players. I didn't realize multiple players had like a triple-double at halftime. So he joins the list of Russ Westbrook, which, of course, he had triple-doubles forever. That one season he averaged it. Domantas Sabonis,
couple seasons,
is another center, and Jokic. They're the only players since 2000 to have a triple-double by halftime, which, I mean, three of those 4 players are Euro players, not even from America, too. So that's a good thing for the sport.
We don't pass here.
We have more ego problems here in America.
Yeah, apparently. Yes.
But also, I mean, just, again, a triple-double by halftime, like I mentioned.
It's crazy.
He's the first player in NBA history to have a 25-plus point triple-double by half. So not the only player.
Yeah, and he had almost 30, 29.
Yeah, 25-plus at halftime with a triple. nuts.
That's
But Luka
crazy.
has been playing really well. I think he came into camp in shape this year for the first time, not overweight. He's lost a little weight, and it's definitely
He
showing.
got
in his
married
physique.
this summer,
He
or
did.
off season. So
And
yeah,
a lot
summer.
of players when they have kids, that father strength seems to come out of nowhere, and maybe that's what Luka's playing with right now.
It's crazy. Good for him. Good for him.
Heck yeah.
All right, getting out of basketball, we're going to move into baseball. The winter meetings were this week. They end tomorrow. I'm a little disappointed. We're gonna talk. Let's talk about it quickly before we get into what we have here. I was told this last weekend that Shohei Ohtani was going to be picking his team early this week, and that way we can kind of get it out of the way of the winter meetings. Then in the middle of the week, I hear Shohei Ohtani is going to be picking this weekend. I swear, if this weekend come and Shohei Ohtani picks next week, I'm going to start getting irritated. Pick a damn team, bro.
Yeah.
Where do you think he's going?
I know his whole free agency is pissing a lot of people off because it's so secretive, because that's what he's asked for. But we talked about too, like, he didn't even want people to know the name of his dog after he won MVP and they saw his dog on TV. So he's a very private person. Doesn't want a whole lot of, hoopla around him, which that's how he's always been since he's been here. So I get it, whether we like it or not. That is his request. And it's also, in a sense, if you think about it, kind of a test for the teams that are talking to him. Like, he's asking for a very simple thing.
That's what he's doing.
To keep it quiet. And if you can do that, then I can trust you and we can move forward in possibly a partnership. But if you can't even do this most basic thing I'm asking you, how can I trust you to put me in a position to possibly win, or our team and have a better situation than the situation I have in Anaheim, or whatever they want to call themselves, LA Angels, where I can kind of do whatever I want. So I get it. It is frustrating as a fan because we're not used to this kind of non-hoopla around a big free agency, especially when you're one of the biggest free agents in ever, if not the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, at least that,
he was
right?
A free agent in 2003. So I don't know. It's just a lot.
The crazy part to me is, like you said, the secretive stuff, right? And it was all over. We're in the LA area, obviously. It was all over LA radio because we talked about it earlier this week. How irritated everybody is with Dave Roberts because, to your point, the one thing that Shohei Ohtani wants was silence. Dave Roberts decided to go and have an interview and just talk about how they were pursuing Ohtani and they can't wait to see if they can try to get him and they're excited and all this kind of shit. Isn't that exactly what he didn't want? You said that Ron Washington took a better approach, right? He was asked about Ohtani. What did he say?
He said something to the effect of, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. So I don't even know if that's him acknowledging that he's talked to him, even though they're the ones that.
Well, they have to. They're the team that owns him. Not owns him, but that team that currently has him. So obviously the Angels are talking to him, but it's not as much of a test. I think the test was, what does he say and how much does he say? Because obviously they're fucking tight. That's where he's from, right?
Right.
So.
And the craziest part to me about the Ron Washington quote is he just got hired. He's only been there for like a month, and he's on the program better than Dave, who's been in LA for like 8 years. Like, and I don't know if we talked about this in the episode or afterwards the other day when we were prepping, that after Dave had that conversation on MLB Network and kind of talked a little too much and said too much, I think it was Bob Nightingale had tweeted that after that interview, he noticed that Dave, pulled his phone out and kind of read something and had this look on his face. I'm like, oh, crap, I need to, okay. And then the next thing you know, he's having a meeting or a huddle with the Dodgers PR people and the GM and everything. So you're like, oh, man, if you're a Dodger fan and he ends up not signing with the Dodgers for whatever reason, even if it's not the Dave Roberts situation,
you're going to blame Dave Roberts.
Fans are going to blame him. And they've already not liked the way he's handled things and the way they've exited the playoffs the last few years. You got to think that if they don't get Ohtani and if they don't win something next year, the Dodgers are going to have to fire Dave Roberts because everyone's going to think it's his fault that they don't have Ohtani. It's his fault that they're not winning. And they're going to have to do some changes and do something about it.
Exited the playoffs the last 2 years. Are you talking about like maybe getting swept in the first round of their playoffs by the Diamondbacks? Like that?
And then losing in 4 last year to San Diego too. Yeah. It's been a rough stretch there.
That's fantastic. I love it. I freaking love it, dude. That's great. Okay, so no news on Ohtani as of Thursday night. He said he was going to be announcing it later this week. Well, later this week is basically tomorrow and Saturday, Friday and Saturday. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can talk about it on Monday. Exactly. We're going to get into stuff that has actually happened, though, instead of the hypothetical. Yankees, pretty irritated they missed the playoffs with their large payroll and extremely long run of not missing the playoffs. They are going out and they're swinging big, figuratively and literally. The first thing they pulled off was the smaller one, so we're going to talk about the second trade that they'd made, which was acquiring Juan Soto. Obviously played for the Padres last year, previous Nationals player, won a World Series there. They got a freak. They gave up more people, but I don't know these people.
Exactly.
So Yankees get Juan Soto and Trent Grisham.
Who's
Padres
a Gold
get
Glove winning center fielder, by the way. They're not just getting
Yeah.
Soto for his offense; they're getting a Gold Glover in the outfield for Trent Grisham too. That's a steal.
Padres get 4 pitchers: Michael King, Drew Thorpe, who I've heard of him, Randy Vasquez, and John Brito. They also get catcher Kyle Higashioka.
Cool.
Obviously, the Yankees won this trade, right?
I mean, initially off the bat, yes, because I know there's a couple San Diego radio guys I follow on Twitter. I want to say Ben Woods is one of the radio shows down there, and they always talk about the Padres. And their first thing was like, "Cool, we got 5 players. I don't know, yay! Like that's the future." I don't know. It's
Well, they couldn't afford payroll, so they had to do something.
They had to do something, so they got a bunch of young guys to go down to the minors. And last year they kept all those guys and tried to make a run instead of training Soto or Hader or Snell at the deadline, because we ultimately found out after the season was over that their owner Peter Seidler was really sick, and I think they were trying one last shot before he ultimately passed away here in the last month. I don't know. The Padres they still have some good guys. I mean, Machado and Hung Sung Kim and Cronenberg.
Obviously, Tatis.
They're going to lose Snell and Hader in the pitching, so they'll have to replace that. But they still have a pretty good offensive side of the team. But yeah, the Yankees, man. I mean, Soto with a left-handed bat and that short porch and right is going to be just Grisham
easy money
too. Grisham's a left-handed bat too, if not a switch hitter. So he'll have.
And like you said, great in the field. So screw that. Damn it, Yankees! What the hell? The other thing they did was get Alex Verdugo. When I first read this headline, it says Yankees trade for Red Sox star. I was like, damn, who the hell do the Red Sox have that's a star? And who the heck? And then it says Alex Verdugo traded the Yankees. I was like, I didn't even know he was a star. But apparently, they're getting star outfielder Alex Verdugo with a giant beard that he'll need to shave immediately. Their Red Sox get pitcher Richard Fitz, the Yankees' number 12 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. They also get pitcher Greg Weissert and pitcher Nicholas Judas.
Yeah, a bunch of guys.
So now that they've gotten Soto and Verdugo, that adds to their Judge and Rizzo lineup. What do you think their lineup is looking like right now, dude?
Okay,
it looks stacked, no?
Yeah, it does. And that beard comment you got me is what kind of got me started on the lineup thing. I saw MLB post a, possible projected lineup after the trades for them. And the picture of Verdugo, he's in a Yankees uniform, but he's a huge beard. I'm like, that is not going to be real. So up to date. But if you look at their projected lineup right now, I don't know if this is necessarily the order, but it could be.
The order, yeah.
You'll go Verdugo, who's a lefty, Judge righty, Soto lefty. Then you go Rizzo lefty. Gleyber Torres is still there, the second baseman. He's a righty. DJ LeMahieu's a third baseman, right-handed batter. You DH Giancarlo Stanton, who's a right-hander. Your catcher's Austin Wells, who's lefty. And then you have Anthony Volpe, who was their rookie last year they brought up, and I think might have won a Gold Glove or was in the category, or in the talk of it for a rookie, considering he took over, and he's supposed to be not the next Derek Jeter, but that's how highly they think of him at short. And then, again, I didn't mention Trent Grisham, who's on their bench now. So they have a lot of offense. It'll be interesting to see what they do. They still need to get some pitching, and it sounds like they're going for Yamamoto from Japan. So they might not be done.
Apparently, that's already done, right? Like in their minds, I've read articles that, and even Yankees fans on Bleacher Report think that he's basically already a Yankee. So,
oh my God, if they gave him $300 million and their payroll just skyrockets with all the, I think I know you're not going to get.
There should be a salary cap. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get anything for him if they decided to trade him, but I think they should trade Giancarlo Stanton. His body is just too beat up and broken down, and the older he gets, the harder it's going to be for him to play a lot of games. I think what you could do is put Trent Grisham in center and put Judge as your DH and play him in left or right, back and forth with Verdugo or Soto. That way you can kind of save, Judges too. Like, he's a big dude, and he's only going to get hurt. And if they put him out in center field, especially like there's talk of, he can't be out there playing center field and diving all the time. That's part of the reason Mookie Betts is even moving in from right field to second base. They don't want to have the wear and tear on him diving out in the outfield and into the walls. So I think the Yankees might not be done with what they're doing as far as who they have, and maybe that's why they're not talking about Grisham as much. Maybe they're going to move him and flip him for something else. I have no idea, but it is interesting to see the Yankees, again, going back at it and trying, spend more money and try to win, just pay for a title, essentially.
So do you think, when's Mike Trout move into shortstop?
I would think first base, if anything.
Well, that's where Shohei's hopefully going to play, because hopefully they keep him. I doubt he's not staying with the Angels, but that's fine.
No,
When you talked about that beard stuff, there was actually somebody that you found like a interview about it. It was a former Yankee who was kind of talking about that. It's like one of the things that might be holding them back from getting some of the top free agents because beards are cool, man. Beards are in. I don't
Yeah.
rock mine on purpose. I'm just lazy to shave it, but people like facial hair, and the fact that you can't wear your last name and you have to do this and you have to shave and you have all these rules to be a Yankee. Maybe in the 20s and the 30s it was something cool because really everybody did it,
Well,
but
that's
not anymore,
funny.
man.
It's funny you say that. It wasn't actually in the 30s and 40s. It started when Steinbrenner actually took over the team in the 70s.
Oh, what the heck,
So it's actually been a thing more recently than that.
dude? The 70s was when cool mustaches were
I
around.
know Raleigh Fingers and all those guys. I don't know what they were.
That's
doing,
what I
but
was saying. What
yeah,
a
the
loser.
guy you talked about is Cameron Maben. He's a former outfielder who played in MLB probably almost 10 years. I think he was in San Diego at one
I
point.
know the name.
I want to say Cincinnati, maybe a Cub, but he did play for the Yankees back in 2019, I think I read. And his thing was he tweeted, this might be an unpopular take to the Yankees fans, but you'd be surprised how much more attractive the Yankees would be if they got rid of that facial hair rule. You wouldn't believe how many quality players just think it's a whack rule to have. I mean, come on, we're coming up on 2024. Let that go already. And I swear it would be more appealing. Again, this only comes from conversations I've had and experience from actually playing. So he went to New York. He cut off his mustache and shaved his face for the whole year. And he knows there's other guys that probably just don't want to do it or deal with it because you're in the middle of a 162 game marathon. The last thing I want to worry about is, am I clean shaven before I go out there on my 12th day in a row that I'm playing? Like, come on, man, just let them play.
Yeah, there's a difference between like high school football coaches telling their players to wear a suit on Fridays to try to teach them how to look presentable and just dress, than making every single adult on your team shave their face because that's the rule for your team. Like that's a little extra for sure.
Absolutely. And not only that, it's like the long hair too, right? There's not a lot of guys with long hair on the team.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it too. Yeah. So they're not
Johnny
getting
Damon, he was a wholly different
Marsh
player when he got there.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Very true.
But a couple other signings we wanted to talk about, at least one that's kind of important for us, is Diamondbacks made a deal yesterday late night. I thought it for sure was like, no way, they didn't get him, but they ended up signing left-hander starting pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez for 4 years, $80 million. There is a fifth year, I think, vesting option and incentives that could make it 5 for $100. But this is the guy who didn't want to get traded to the Dodgers from the Tigers at the deadline because of supposedly wanting to stay closer to the East Coast. But now you're in the desert. So maybe he just didn't want to be a Dodger. And he did beat the Dodgers in the World Series.
He's closer to the East Coast, Corey. He didn't lie.
But he was on the Red Sox when they beat the Dodgers in the World Series back in 2018. So maybe there's some kind of history there that he didn't like the fans, or who knows. It's its own thing. But I'm excited to have him. He went 13-9 with a 3.3 ERA last year with the Tigers, who haven't been over 500 in 3 years that he's been there. I mean,
so he has a winning record.
Yeah,
that's good.
Not only that, a 3.3 ERA with a team that isn't very good and doesn't play a lot of defense. That's amazing. So going from there to Arizona, where we're all about defense and embracing the chaos as we learned this last postseason, if they can play the defense behind him they were playing last year, because we didn't really lose a whole lot so far. The young guys are all still there. I think we'll lose Luis Gurriel in the outfield, but other than that, I think we're going to be pretty solid returning. So I would think he's going to have a good year. I mean, again, not only did he go 13-9 last year, 31-22 in 3 years in Detroit. Again, they didn't win.
Horrible.
They didn't go over 500. So
yeah,
that's a good thing. And another a nice solid lefty in the top of the rotation to go with Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Brandon Pfaadt, who are all righties. So now we just got to get one more back into the bullpen, back into the rotation guy. I know there's also
some bats.
JD Martinez coming back to Arizona for a second.
There's the bat.
Would be awesome. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Nice. Down. Craig Kimbrell signs a 1 year, $12 million deal with the Orioles. Second year is actually a team option, but for $13 million. So pretty incentivized. He blew it a couple times. He was almost unplayable in the NLCS against the Diamondbacks because while up, all he did was surrender runs. When tied, all he did was surrender runs. So he didn't look too good. Getting a new start, moving over to Baltimore. Baltimore ran out of the playoffs after having an amazing season last year. Going to be pretty interesting. 8-6 last year with a 3.26 ERA and 23 saves. You like this for Baltimore?
I do and I don't. When they lost in the playoffs last year, the Rangers, it wasn't their back end of the bullpen that was the problem. They couldn't hit runs. So they had the offense all season. I think, they were just really young and hadn't been in the playoffs. There's a lot of expectations being the number one seed too. And again, a young coach who hadn't coached in the playoffs before going against Bruce Bochy, who's one of the best of all time. So, they struggled, but it's a 1-year deal essentially with the second year as a team option. So if it doesn't work out, you can always trade him at the deadline, and maybe somebody else will take him. But Kimbrel's had a lot of up and downs the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, he was in Atlanta for a long time. He did good. Then he went to the Dodgers. He wasn't good. Then he went to the Padres. He had an okay time. Then he went to Philly. Like, he's kind of been all over the place and up and down. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back next year in Baltimore.
Exciting to see. I like his pitching stance. Is kind of funny. That's for the YouTube audience. You can see me try to do it. For those of you who are listening, it was just a moment of silence. Apologies.
Who was it during the regular season? There was a game where I think it got out of hand
Yes.
against Philly. And
I don't know.
It was a player, it was a position player pitching, and he was out there doing the Craig.
He did the
Kimbrel.
same thing.
Oh,
Yep.
That was great. I don't remember who it was, but it was awesome.
I
I love when
forgot
guys
to.
can like joke around and just have some fun. When the game's out of control like that, and you're in the middle of a long
Who cares?
marathon of a season, gotta laugh sometimes.
Exactly. Last baseball note before we get out of here for the day. I just thought this was kind of interesting because he's a very good player. Well, we don't know exactly how good. He's decent now, but he was great. Go down as an all-time great. Max Scherzer, okay? He currently plays for the Texas Rangers. That's what he'll be playing in 2024, right? Or is he free agent? Yeah, he's on the roster.
Another year
Yeah.
there, yeah.
But currently, he's the fourth highest paid player on the Rangers. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Making a good amount of money. I know Seager's there, so I know they're they got some
money, yeah.
They got some money up at the top there. So the fourth high, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But he's actually making more money than that. He was just with the Mets, right? He's next year he will be the second highest paid player on the Mets next year.
Oh my god, I forgot
Yep.
the Mets had to pay part of that contract when they traded him. Yikes.
Yeah. He'll be playing for the Rangers, of course, but the Mets will be paying him. He'll actually be the second highest paid player on that team. However, don't forget, of course, about those weird baseball contracts where they like pay you after you retire and leave, because he'll also be the third highest paid player on the Nationals next year, who hasn't played for in like 2 years and 3 teams.
Wow.
This
I
dude's
mean,
just rolling in the dough.
hey, if they give you that deferred money and you're in baseball, it's guaranteed. So you take it whenever you can get it. And I'm actually surprised he's not the highest paid player on the Nats, because I don't know anybody on that team anymore since they basically blew it up after they won the World Series. So I'm kind of shocked he's
Very
only the
true.
third highest.
No Soto, no Turner, no
Rendon.
no, he retired, right?
Who?
Strasburg?
Yeah, I think he's medically basically had to retire at this point. He's not going to come
Okay,
back.
so it can't be him. Yeah, I don't even know. So, but yeah, Scherzer in 2024 will be rolling. Only playing for one team, getting paid by 3.
Already
Not
got
bad
2 wins,
business,
though,
huh?
Too, so.
True. Well, that wraps up the main part of the show. It is Thursday, so we are getting into some history, of course. Let's go ahead and I guess get to it. This week in sports history. This week in sports history. So this week in sports history, we got a couple of them. Both of them are actually in football, but I thought they were kind of crazy. So let's get into them. On December 8th, 2012, Texas A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel becomes the first freshman to win the Heisman Trophy, taking college football's top individual prize after a record-breaking debut. Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o finished a distant second, and Kansas State quarterback Colin Klein, who no one ever heard of in the NFL, finished third in voting. That's pretty crazy. I remember that Manti Te'o one.
Oh.
And Johnny Manziel definitely deserved it, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean,
he
did
played
all
lights
that,
out.
All that offensive craziness in Texas A&M, not only as a freshman, but without watching film, as we've learned from the documentary. About
Very
him.
true. Very
never
true.
watched film anywhere, and I do remember Manti Te'o being there. I don't know who Colin Klein is now that you mention it. I don't
Me
know
either, to
anybody.
be honest with you.
It could have just been the two of them at the Heisman Trophy presentation. I didn't even
Right.
realize there was a third or fourth guy there. But yeah, Manziel, man, just as a freshman to do that, and again, now
Killed
that we
it.
know with no film, is just amazing.
Very impressive. The second one we got here, still football. It's kind of weird. It's going to start weird, but then you're going to understand. You forgot that he left. On December 6th, 2009, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Brett Favre sets an NFL record by playing his 283rd consecutive game. While it was a loss, a 30-17 loss to the Cardinals in Arizona, the 40-year-old Brett Favre broke the record held by longtime Vikings defensive end Jim Marshall. When I went to go look at this information, though, there's absolutely zero people that like almost nobody in the top 5 that I even know. They're all people from like ages before I was even born. And there's nobody current like anywhere near even like the top 20. Because people just get hurt now. I don't know what it is, but this dude's basically like the Cal Ripken, right, of football. He still holds the record and by like a lot. But the crazy part is Brett has actually played more than that. He's actually played for his entitle thing 321 games in a row because if you include the 24 consecutive playoff games that he did not miss.
Man.
Dude, over 300. That's over 320 straight NFL games. That is impressive.
Well,
I mean, I understand he's not the running back or the receiver, but the quarterback gets hit too.
Especially back when he played. Like that was when quarterbacks were allowed to be hit.
Got hit.
Gunslinger and moving around. Like that's crazy to think that you can play 321. I mean, you play 16 games a year. You might play 2 or 3 playoff games if you make a run, which he made the one Super Bowl run that they won. So you're basically playing 16 or 17 games a year for what? Like seems like forever at that point. I mean, he played till he's 40. So
dude's insane. Impressive for sure. Impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that'll be it for us today. Where these facts are pretty fun, bro. And you have MILF Monday.
Yep.
Where can they find more of these facts, man?
Yeah, if you want to listen to some past episodes or listen to get more updates of when we have episodes, remember you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube by searching Our View from the Bench.
Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Our View FTB. How's your weekend looking, dude? Busy, right? Because you said it was easy weekend and it's backloaded, right?
The front of this week has been so easy for me, and I'm glad that the back end is not crazy, but a little busier. I'm working tomorrow, just day shift, but there is a concert on Saturday at the arena. I'm working King and Country.
Ooh, great group.
Thankfully, it's not a super long concert. I'm used to concerts going from like 7 to 11 p.m. and then me not getting out of there till 2 a.m. or so. But sounds like this one's going to end at about 9:30. So
that's Saturday.
So I should be able to get.
Yeah, because all the Christians going, they got church on Sunday, so they got to make sure they're out of there and get up.
That's a good point. Well, that's fine with me because that means I can get out of there hopefully before midnight if they end at 9:30 because we got a game on Sunday as well to get prepped for after the concert. So if we get out of there as soon as possible, I'm down with it.
I would love to go to that concert. I should see how much tickets are. Maybe that would be a fun concert.
I don't think it's sold out yet, but they are expecting about 10,000. I think is what I read this morning.
Oh, that's gonna be busy then, bro.
Yeah, we're checking in quite a bit of worth of merch. Much more than the last time they were here. Last time it was a kind of a small show.
Bro, they're blowing up. They're really good.
That's what I've heard. So we're expecting much busier things. So, but what about your weekend, man? I know obviously you got one day of work left, but.
That's right. Just tomorrow. Can't wait. I think I swim tomorrow after work. I don't really have much plans this weekend. Church on Sunday. My dad's probably going to come with me. Trying to see if I could drag Andrew with me as long as he's not working. But other than that, just kind of relaxing, man. No real plans. Decorate, enjoy Christmas. We got a tree yesterday. I like real trees. I like the smell and the stuff, and I don't know. I just like the real stuff. So, got that. I'm gonna decorate that this weekend because right now it's just sitting with water, no lights on, but it still looks pretty in the corner. So
yeah, I gotta get my. I have a fake tree that I usually put up, but I gotta get all that stuff out this weekend probably and get that up.
Yeah, dude, put it in the back so we can see it.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I was
like me. See, I got my stuffs.
Yeah, it was funny. Yesterday, I was walking out to go. I think I was going to go check the mail at the mailbox, and the lady who works in the office in this complex actually lives right next door to me. And when I was walking out the door, she was standing in front of her like apartment, but like looking and like pointing. So I was like, "She looking at the cat in the window? Like, what's happening?" Because my roommate has a cat that's always hanging out in the window. I go outside and she's putting her like window decals of Christmas stuff on the window, and she's standing from far back, like trying to figure out where to place them all. I was like, "Oh, you're decorating." She's like, "Yeah, when are you going to decorate?" I was like, I probably the next couple of days. Man, I'm surprised we haven't done it already. So we were way early on Halloween. I'm surprised we haven't gotten caught up for Christmas.
Yeah, no, we are ready. I like Christmas. I love it. So excited.
Yeah, I think part of it too is I won't be here for Christmas. I'm going to be in Ohio, so maybe that's like my mindset. I'm like, I'm not going to be here, so what am I going to like worry about? What
I'm going to spend Christmas there.
Apartment.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Well, I appreciate everybody coming by, checking us out, and seeing things from Our View from the Bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.